Good morning everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder video. Now, I did say I was going to do a review video of the T-64BV. Of course, this isn't so much going to be a review of the actual tank itself, more or less a review of the ERA package that makes the tank into the BV rather than just the B. Yeah, I've already done a review of the T-64B itself, so if you want to know a little bit more detail about the engine, the manoeuvrability, the gun, the ammo and all that sort of stuff like I normally do, then go and check out that video. It will be in my reviews playlist. But for now though, we're just going to take a look at the armor. Now, when I heard that this thing was coming in as a modification, I have to be honest, I had my doubts. I know a lot of people didn't like the idea, and I'm not surprised, really. This is because, in theory, this stuff has the protection of around 800mm of effective protection against heat and ATGMs. Now, at the time I thought, well, that's brilliant, because the T-64B's main competitor in update 1.77? 789, yeah, 1.77 was the Leopard 2K with its 650mm of pen heat round, which it got as standard. Of course, the issue is now is everybody who has the Leopard 2K and has had it since the last patch has either ground their way out to the fin stabilized sabot shell, like I have, or they've just straight up 3xp'd their way to the fin stabilized sabot shell. So the main tank that this is supposed to combat against or defend against isn't firing that sort of ammo at you. And at tippy top tier, 9.3, 9.7, ATGM tanks are just not really a thing. The T-64BV is the only vehicle in the game that actually fires ATGMs at that tier. Well, actually, the Russians are the only ones that do fire ATGMs at that tier out of their tank guns, unless you count the KPZ-70 and the MBT-70, which would only really be in your tier if they got up-tiered, or if as a backup vehicle for the player who is using them. I'm not saying this is a bad thing as such, but again, chances are they're not going to be using their ATGMs. They're going to be using their, you know, sabot shell. So let's have a look at this ERA plating. Wait, really? Equivalent protection against 5mm of added protection against kinetic, 370mm of added protection. Yeah, but hang on. Let's see. Composite. Doesn't tell you what the effective thickness of the composite is though, because you got to add the composite onto the ERA. Or the ERA into the composite, however you want to look at it. So that's that, 370. That's actually quite bad. I was expecting it to be better than that. That's not great, is it? A little bit of a disclaimer as well. I haven't actually had a decent game in this thing since I've got the armor on it. The armor package does add substantial weight to the tank, and as I don't have the engine upgrades yet, it's very, well, it is quite sluggish. As a matter of fact, let's just take a look at the modifications so we can see how much weight it adds. ERA, right. It adds 1.1 tons. Adds another 0.1 of a second to a full stop, which is basically negligible, really, in fairness. Another 1.1 meters to braking distance and 0.4 seconds to acceleration time. The T-64B is not a very fast machine at the best of times, so having that slow of an accelerate, that, you know, in theory 0.4 of a second to acceleration is not a lot, but at the same time it's gonna you're gonna notice the difference. I've noticed the difference. Without the ERA on it, the whole rotation speed was actually quite good for, you know, for a stock tank without any performance upgrades for the engine and stuff on it. It was quite impressive, but now not so much. It's, like I said, it's quite sluggish. It doesn't rotate as fast as it used to. It doesn't accelerate as fast as it used to. It feels slow. It feels heavy. It feels, well, like a main battle tank. The Abrams, of course, being the exception to that rule. There is also ERA plating on the side of the turret here below the box. I don't know why they put it there, but yeah, I don't know. It looks cool as fuck, though, doesn't it? It looks fucking awesome. But that doesn't really count for shit when all it does is slow you down and doesn't really protect you against ATG. Well, it does. It protects you against ATGMs, I assume. But being only 370mm of effective thickness against ATGMs and heat, It's debatable. It would depend what the added protection is of the composite and the ERA together. If you add that up, you might be safe against Raketen Jagdpanzer spies, the ATGMs from KPZs and MBTs. That's about it, really. That's all you're going to be facing. Rockets, funnily enough, I'll mention this. Artillery shells, I've been hit by artillery shells whilst in a cap circle with this armour, and the ERA is blown off, and I haven't taken any damage. So, but then, artillery shell is not exactly the same thing as an ATGM, is it? So, take it as you will, really. Let's jump into the gameplay. Right, so before we actually start talking a little bit more about the BV, I think it's best I get some admin out of the way first. I got the job. My first interview I've ever done, and I got the job. I have no idea how. Thank you very much for those of you who wished me good luck. I really appreciate it. Of course, unfortunately, this is kind of a double-edged sword, because if I'm working 5 days a week from 9 to 5, my video productivity is going to dip massively, especially considering that on the weekends, you know, everybody else is at home. So, in theory, I mean, let me get this out of the way right now. I am not abandoning my channel. I have worked far too hard for far too long to let it slip through my fingers like that. So yes, I have a job, but in my opinion, the way to look at that is to think that I can buy a better microphone. I can, you know, maybe actually sort my PC out, buy a better PC if I save up enough money, and actually start doing proper gameplays, you know, doing proper streams and all sorts of stuff. I can actually improve my channel, even though I may not be uploading anywhere near as often as I currently am. Then anyway, I just thought I'd let you know. So thank you very much for everybody who wished me the best of luck. I really appreciate it. Right, now back to the T-64BV. Something I've just failed to mention in the hangar is that the name of the tank does not change when you add the modification. It's still just called the T-64B. I assumed for patch 1.79, when they got rid of the date at the end of the name, it was T-64B, I think it was 1984. They got rid of the date at the end, they got rid of the year, which made me assume that when you add the ERA package, it was going to change the name to T-64BV. This isn't the case. They didn't. It doesn't do that. I don't know why. But then I suppose the BMP-1, its name doesn't change when you add the new ATGM. It doesn't become the BMP-1P. So can't say I'm surprised, but it would have been kind of cool if it did. But hey ho, it is what it is. That right there was the only shot that I took in this tank while doing this recording where I didn't immediately die. Yes, I know, that's bad, isn't it? Somebody, when I unlocked the Abrams, and I was getting some gameplay footage for the video yesterday, somebody actually said in the chat, on our team, they were driving an Abrams as well, they said, it's quite funny watching the T-64BV drivers think that they now have armour. And they do. If you watch them, I say watch them, if you watch T-64BV drivers, they drive as if they're driving an Abrams, you know, level of protection. You're not. This tank is still very much a sniper. The T-64B can brawl, the BV more so in theory, but of course you're not as mobile, so you're not going to be able to get around people and stuff. And then there's that horrible 4 km/h reverse speed that you're stuffed with. It's just, I don't know. It's not great, really. The T-64BV, a bit of a disappointment if I'm being entirely honest, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to continue grinding to my T-62M. I'm almost halfway through it. I'm going to continue grinding with the Russians. Hopefully I'll have it sooner rather than later, because I'm really looking forward to giving that a go. And yes, I'll be doing a video on that as soon as I get it, hopefully. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. And I will see you in the next Warfend video. Cheers.